What is the implication of this on the electoral process going forward? What is the implication of all of this disturbance in the electoral process of Saturday?
Very strong implication. What is going on is that the space is becoming increasingly narrowed. As you know, in this country right now, except in Anambra State, contestations for electoral purposes is between two parties. All the other parties, as I have always said, are just there to symbolize existence of other parties. But the contest is between two parties, PDP and APC. And in the case of Anambra, three, APGA, because APGA is the government in that state. Now, outside these parties, no other one is seriously involved. And in the case of Rivers State, APC currently does not have candidates and is not on the ballot. Accord Party is probably the third state that you would have said, okay, has a strong candidate that can give some semblance of a fight. It will still not be the same when a major party is contesting against a minor party. Now, what has happened now is that even that second state, that second party, has also been removed by this decision of this Federal High Court yesterday. And so, in effect, you have only one major party running for the election and a number of unidentifiable parties.
Now,
so the political space is seriously narrowed practically to one party.
Now, these contestations will most certainly have an effect also on the preparations of the electoral body.
Oh, yes. Definitely will. Unless anything happens, unless there is a sort of execution from a court of competent jurisdiction, the electoral body will have to remove the name and the party. That, okay, they don't need to remove the name because the court substituted another person or the court restored another name as the valid name that is the candidate of the party. So fortunately, it won't affect their preparation much in the sense that the party logo will still remain on the ballot and election can go on. Just that they have a different candidate from the candidate that was there as at yesterday.
And the implication on the electorate?
Oh, you can be sure of voter apathy. As it is, as I have said, it means you have one party virtually running against itself, meaning that a lot of people in the state who are not members of that party will likely exhibit voter apathy and refuse to participate in the election. So we should expect much less votes from Rivers State in this election than we had even in the presidential, where all parties had candidates.
Well, the other twist to this, Prof, is that I mean, we also saw on the news how the deputy governorship candidate, I think of SDP, has now left his party and then gone ahead to the PDP. So what that means, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you don't have a deputy governorship candidate, can you go alone as the candidate?
You have an inchoate candidacy, so you do not also have a candidate. That is also gone. And Chamberlain, this is growing more interesting because we read in the news that on Friday, the Federal High Court in Abuja will be deciding on whether even the candidate of PDP is competent to run in this election. So is Rivers State going to be left without candidates to be voted for? Or we have to shop for the faces that are available and just choose one? You can be sure that this whole thing is getting very messy. What if on that Friday something goes wrong and or something goes one way or the other and the court returns a verdict of PDP candidate is not a valid candidate or is not qualified? So you can see that the state is heading for some form of crisis.
You know, but the thing about this, because I mean, the Accord Party has said that they're going to go ahead and appeal the matter. Do they have that time?
They have time to appeal because election is still the next week Saturday, so they have time to appeal between today and Monday. But whether they can achieve the intention to appeal does not constitute an appeal. What can make them remain on the ballot is that either this same Federal High Court or the Court of Appeal grants a stay of execution of the judgment of the Federal High Court given yesterday. That's the only way that the gentleman is back on the ticket pending the determination of his appeal, which must have vested and is seen to be on. But until that takes place, the mere filing of appeal will not change the situation. It will mean that, what's his name? Precious will still be the candidate.
But it appears that there are two issues here. Yes, the candidature of Dumalo Briggs may be in question, but yes, not the participation of a court party in the election.
No, that's what I explained earlier. Not the participation of a court party, because the judgment returned somebody as the proper candidate. So that name returned by the court will now replace Dumalo Briggs' name in the records of INEC. The party is still in the election, but with that other name, Precious, and not Dumalo Briggs. Okay,
so in other words, they can still keep going on with whatever they're trying to sort themselves out in court, but their party logo is on the ballot. So whoever, if assuming their party wins now, it will be that whoever emerges as the candidate eventually becomes the person elected.
Yes, it should have been so, but with the introduction of the clause that says that a person who did not participate in all stages of a contest should not be declared winner by the court, that introduces a new twist. That came alongside as a new development. It's not in the fourth alteration, but it came in some earlier alteration. So that has introduced a new twist, that what happened in 2007 can no longer happen if a person is not seen to have participated in all stages of the election. And the voting state, being a candidate for whom votes are cast, is definitely a major step. And if that is missing, it means that it will be difficult for that person to be returned by the court in the face of the provision.
Professor Wokocha, Rivers State is known to be a flashpoint state. With all of these going on, I don't know, of course, the angle of the PDP candidate that you have also brought in, what's likely to happen? How do the people handle this, especially given that anything could happen if this trouble, these contestations, these uncertainties persist on election day?
Certainly, it's going to create a whole lot of problems. I do not know whether those who have capacity to cause violence are not going to try to disrupt the entire thing if their parties are not going on with the election or are not part of the election. You saw what happened at the last election on 23rd of February, and if that could happen, then imagine what will happen if they feel excluded. I am worried. I am very worried. While on one hand, you will say that there are no stakes because there are no contestants or contestations, and so there will be no need for them to cause mayhem. We have seen that the reasoning of that sector of citizens is usually different from normal or reasonable reasoning, and so we could expect serious disruptions in that election, even though you have no major parties contesting, if it turns out to be that way.
All right, sir.
Before the election day.
All right, Professor Wokocha, Associate Professor, Rivers State University. Thank you for talking to us today. So we'll be back in a moment. Join us again. All right, welcome back. Yes, we did talk about election security at several times, but even this morning, the scenario in Benue raising some concern. But now we've got this email from Oluwole Akonde. He says, well, he thinks that, in fact, he said he wants all new contestants and politicians and incumbents to, he says, to only be accompanied with their families and chief security officer to the polling booths, cast their votes, and then security agencies, just guard them and ensure that they get back to their homes and not be allowed to make any comments that would induce voters' unrest or results by elections or INEC to be altered. But, well, Akoni, we get your email quite all right, but they've got freedom of expression. Yeah, so, but how do you stop them from expressing themselves? But the law is also there that you don't make comments that will, shouldn't be. I think it should be wise on our part not to allow them make comments that will inflame passion, which is what a lot of people just want to see here.
Well, the important thing, just as we began, is to recognize that, according to the president, election is not war. All right? So there will still be a nation after the election. So let's underscore that very, very important aspect of it, which is we need to have a country to govern in order to have government officials. So let us underscore that very, very importantly, because at the end of the day, if all you want to do is to serve, if we want you, we engage you to serve.
All right, so there you go. That's the show today. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
And I'm Ayo Makinde.
Thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.